if it is an investment for the ages, if that investment will be there for generations, our conversations should also be built on building blocks that can go on for generations. Therefore, the communication has to be renewed in many ways. We have to find new and more interesting ways to understand each other even more. Who knows, maybe I speak to someone in France in French, and they speak back to me in Luo. Maybe we'll try something like that. Who knows?
Welcome back. This is a Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, and in the studio is engineer Peter BenHur Nyeko. He is also the proprietor of, rather the CEO of Mandulis Energy, and of course Ripal and Chakula. These are all brands under him, and the creative space is what Peter does. Peter is a dancer and is an Arabic teacher. He speaks French, and he speaks Luo, he speaks English fluently, and he speaks Spanish. Now, these are all facets of creativity in one man. Who is better fit to be on this show? And he was one of the people who were in France speaking in French with the French president representing Uganda. And of course, on that summit that we had in France a few just days back or weeks back. Peter, welcome back to the program. We want to go back from the point where we are talking about, we're discussing the New Africa France Summit 2021.
Yes.
Now, the opening of the conference, let's start from there. What does it really mean for creativity in Uganda? We saw the French president and the French people open that summit with a dance from the African lady, and one seemingly looking like Italian, and then the African dance was on stage, and everything was about that. And in that moment, what was it trying to communicate to Africa and to, the creative industry?
Thank you so much. I mean, being African and being in that room, you could say it was interesting, it was vibrant, and it was welcoming. And anyone who had come in and may have felt a bit cold warmed up. The ice was broken. It was possible to now be open, fully open, and feel when you open an event with the kind of music that makes you move, get off your feet, and sweat a little bit. The conversation thereafter is fully open. Nothing's held back. So that was very interesting from that point of view. But also the fact that those who may have been in France for the first time suddenly thought, wait, I'm from Chad, I'm in France, there's a Chadian musician on stage. Or I'm from Bujumbura, I'm in France, there's a Bujumburan dancer on stage. And thinking, wow, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel welcomed, I feel at home. That's the message which everyone could basically feel. But at the same time, the fact that you had people from France who are not from an African origin joining in and having even more fun than we're used to having to that same music meant we're all one family. And that was wonderful. And it made a difference because it was a very young audience, an audience where I may have been one of the few people who were not as young. That made a difference there as well. But when we got to the point where the head of state welcomed everyone and had a stage with very young people on it and very open conversations in French and in English on that stage, which you can all see online. You can go to the website, of New Africa France Summit. You can go to the website of the Élysée Palace, or the entire 3.5 hour, big event at the end of the summit is all there online. But you can see everything else as well as the other conversations. But early in the morning, because this happened in the evening to close it, but in the morning and in the early afternoon, you had different sections of the summit where you had the business people having their mini summits, and a Ugandan spoke there. You had the creative industries having their conversations, and a Ugandan spoke there as well. You had the environmental side of things, and you had the sports side of things. So now you see business, environment, sports, creativity. That's what makes it so interesting. Everything that we are really vibrant with as a continent and as a world going forward.
Wow.
Yes.
Peter, so that moment communicated connectivity according
Yes.
to you. That moment communicated that we are welcome. That moment communicated that the things are starting from a new, perspective. I mean, it was a moment for reflection for very many people, including myself, when I was looking into that. Earlier on, we had had a series of events all across, I think, Uganda, when they were preparing toward this day. And one of the things that struck me most was a film that was screened, in preparation leading to the conference. It was about Don't Film. The film was titled Don't Film Me. And when we watched this film, there was this scene in the film where, the director and the producer comes and he pulls out the sweets and the chocolate and give it to the children, and the children speak, and then somebody comes and says, why do you give them the chocolate? Did you ask them if they want the chocolate? What if they want cassava? What if they want this? What if they want this? And that moment simply just came out alive. And we were having a conversation in that moment and saying, look, when we hear now the new Africa-France relationship, and looking at the past where, the Western world would always just come and give. They assume that this is what you need and then just give you. From the creative point of view, they would come here to come and write the story and tell the story of an African man or woman without talking and getting their perspective. The French president and the French people seems to be saying, no, we now want this story to be told by you. And that's what I saw on the stage. And that's what I saw, the choreography and, the dance, the culture that was being fused on there was telling a lot of things in the background. Where does this leave us with our, the previous mindsets of this is how it is to the new mindset that is trying to be shaped at the moment by the French people?
What's most interesting is on that journey that we went to and in the conversations that we had, the first thing is New Africa. We felt the New Africa so much because we got to meet other Africans who we may have not met otherwise. Africa is not as connected and interconnected as it could be. So to have an opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs, other creatives, other young people from other African countries, where you spend a week together and interact and share and learn and build on for a better future was even bigger than any conversations that were had with France. What was great there was you'll find a difference, you'll find a change from the relationships that were built amongst the Africans who had actually gone. That's kind of one way of looking at it. Secondly, obviously, as you did say, at the event, it was no holds barred. There was every bit of honesty. There was a lot of truth. There was a lot of understanding and coming to terms with the more difficult parts of the history of this relationship.
Yeah.
And it was crucial in that it is now called the New Africa-France Summit. And it follows the alphabetical order. Though previously, many years ago, it was the other way around.
It was France-Africa relationship.
Indeed.
Yes.
So you could say the focus is more on following the alphabetical order now.
Yes. I see where you're coming. I see the point.
Yes.
Peter, that said, does that now mean that from a creative point of view, down here in Uganda,
yes,
we can now begin to think about what are our creative, works here, businesses that we also start here? Can it begin to go and open up stores in France? Can Ugandan, creative people also, Africa creative people also go and invest in France? Because there's been the trade balance between, France and Africa, to be specific, and in Uganda, is more of the France investing in Uganda and less of Uganda investing in France. Now, I want to look at from that point of view. If we're thinking now creatively, and there are products, of course, we now have people like Stella Attal in France. Does that mean Attal can come up with a factory or, set up a factory in France? Does that mean that Pfizer Chiwewa, that was part of, the delegation, can set up, a festival of a Baimba festival in France and run it in France without any limitation? Does that mean like Dawoodi, Karunji and the many likes, and yourself, can you go and start a farm in France and also, build your product there and run your product? Did you see that sense and that kind of sense in the conversation? I know some conversation on stage was quite tensed.
Yes.
I saw some people from the western part who were quite very tough at the moment and the French president remained calm, and everything was like, okay, we take this from you and we continue to, build this relationship. So that moment that was very tense of some great exchange of ideas on stage were quite very telling, and it came out as a way of some people feeling still hungry about some of the things that happened in the past. Others are saying, no, this is it. This is the moment. This is the new Africa France. We're moving forward. What did you feel while sitting there? As an investor, that's number one. As a creative mind in France, as a man who actually acts in the theater, what opportunities did you see that the creative art can actually, present itself and do in France?
Interesting. The conversation is getting quite wide now.
Yes.
But I'll go back to what you started with.
Yes.
One thing we all know about France is, France is happy, joyful, and proud to be France. That's the first thing we can learn from France.
Yeah.
France knows all about France. France celebrates France. France celebrates its history, its cuisine, its language, its music, its culture. So when we want to have a conversation with France, it helps if we also come from a point of celebrating our history, our culture, our heritage, our food. Then we can have because the conversation involves exchange.
Yes.
So we have to have something to bring forward. And if we don't yet understand ourselves fully, if we don't yet celebrate ourselves fully, it's difficult to begin to share what we ourselves don't yet understand. It takes us back to earlier conversations we had about what is Uganda, what is being Ugandan.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, first of all. France is very sure what France is. I can be comfortable about that.
Yeah.
You will never find anywhere in the world a Bordeaux wine done the way it's done in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yes. That's true.
You will never find camembert cheese done the way they do camembert in France. Have we got to a point where we can say, do we have a bucotto pie, which is the only way to cook that pie in the whole world?
Yeah.
So when we go to Montpellier,
Yeah.
we can get something from there and share with them that. So that's one way of looking at it. We've got to focus a bit more and really learn to celebrate ourselves. You know, can we have our equivalent of what is celebrated at the Louvre in Paris?
Yeah.
Can really celebrate that heritage to that much? That's important from that traditional creative side of things.
Yeah.
But when you go to the other side as well, I mean, of course, you know, I am very confident that Ugandan businesses in any sector who are able to dream,
Yeah.
plan, and realize can fly to France and invest in any part of France as well. I mean, of course, you've already mentioned a few businesses in the creative industry already who already invested in France.
Yeah.
But in other industries as well, that can happen. In the knowledge industry, you know, in many others.
Yeah.
What makes it even more interesting now is investment is not only physical, you know, it's not only in hardware.
Yeah.
Now you've got the internet. You've got developers in Uganda, developers elsewhere who can develop Ugandan apps that could be used in France. But now it shouldn't be only about we create something, we put it on a ship, and we ship it out, and we get paid for it.
Yeah.
That's, when we go new, we've got to think beyond that now and
Yeah.
go, okay, let's not say, all right, great, let's have something for them to buy.
Yeah.
No, let it be a conversation as well from that point of view.
Yeah.
And let's say, is there something we can take from our learnings of how we have overcome some of our challenges in Uganda? Is there something we can take from that to invest in a part of France that may be facing similar challenges that could learn from how we solve these challenges?
Yeah.
I'm sure with a bit of research we can find a few areas where we can share.
Yeah.
The same way France has been able to share with us so much on the technological side, in oil and gas, you know, in infrastructure, in water services, and so much more.
And that said, Peter, I
Yeah.
just want to take you deeply on that part
Yeah.
of the conversation. So, was that the sense that you picked from there while you attended the New Africa-France Summit 2021, when the French president was talking, when all the presenters were on stage and talking? Did you see that as a person from Uganda, from the creative, that you think this is the creative side that we need? Did you see the sense of what you're talking about?
What's exciting is
Yeah.
I saw it, I felt it, and you know, I could see others also acting on it.
Yeah.
What's interesting from that point of view was those of us involved in business went a few days earlier. We were there on Monday. We had events on Monday and Tuesday within the premises of the French government. Mm-hmm. We had another summit on the Wednesday and the Thursday. So we had a lot of time to interact with business people from France. We had the opportunity to book meetings with them in advance.
Yeah.
We had opportunities to share our profiles.
Yeah.
And learn more about how they do things, but also go towards a point where we can actually do business together with them.
Yeah.
Not just in France, but also in other parts of Africa
Yeah.
where doing business with French colleagues would make a massive difference. So all our opportunity was there on the table. It just came down to saying, great, are we able to prepare in advance, go there, learn how to communicate emotionally, through word, through exchange of culture, but build from that, you know, our needs to make a difference through business and otherwise. And I think there's so much of that which was there. Yeah. Not only do I think, I'm pretty sure, but I know it takes time. In my own interactions with businesses in France, which started way earlier than this, I would say it's the same as my interaction business in other countries as well.
Yeah.
It takes time to build something, but you've got to have patience, confidence, and a willingness to learn and continuously improve and build.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that can happen there. But the difference today is this. With the ecosystem that this summit has given us, when my colleagues and I went to France in 2015, we didn't have this ecosystem. We went out there and, we followed, the book, as you may, and got to somewhere. I'd say 7 years on, we've got to somewhere. But the difference now is this. The young people who went there this time around, they've got the ecosystem of the new Africa-France Summit around them. They've got the support structure. They were looked after really well for the entire time they were there, treated as any high-level delegation would have been treated. Beyond that, there's a lot of support from the French ecosystem in each of the countries where they are from, be it through the embassies or through the Alliance Française, but even going a bit further and looking at the new initiatives which have been deployed alongside this summit. If you go to the new Africa-France Summit web pages online, you'll find initiatives that have been set up specifically for different industries. I know of 2 in particular for the creative industry, and you can go online and check those out. And there are incubators where you can go with your idea, build it up, and get it to a point where it's robust and can last a distance. So if we all know Yves Saint Laurent, French brand, could we get a Ugandan brand in fashion going on to one of these incubators and accelerators, and building up, getting to a point where they have strengthened themselves as a brand and as a business, and they're able to access funding as part of that as well. So there are 2 different things you'll find on the website, which includes support, incubation, funding, and further investment. And it's being led by none other than the French Development Agency, Agence Française de Développement, which is, wow, it's the same entity that's supporting infrastructure, roads, and so on. That same entity is now supporting the creative industry. That means so much.
Okay. I want to just ask you one more question, Pete, before we go for a break. You're obviously breaking this down, and to everyone out there, we're talking to Engineer Peter Nyeko, who was at the new Africa-French Summit 2021 on the invitation of the French embassy in Uganda and the French government. And of course, they came back with a different perspective, which we need to dive into to understand the different perspective that will allow us to shape the attitude and perception of the local people going forward. Relationships mean 2 must be in communication. They must be talking. What is your say? What is your comment about the new Africa-France relationships? Have a say, send us a comment or kisses or disses, and let us know what your thoughts are. Peter is breaking down what he has seen at the conference, and for the next couple of days, we're definitely going to be discussing the new Africa-France relationship. What does it mean for us in the creative industry? Every sector in Uganda or anywhere in the world needs a creative mind. A creative mind is a person who think about something, think about the solution to the problem, creates the product that is needed in the market for us to be able to move forward. It is a solution based. So if we're talking about the new Africa, then we've got to be able to make sure that this is actually something that we're all working together to make sure it works. Peter, coming back to you. The attitude in Africa is different. If you have been in a relationship where you felt like the relationship in the past wasn't okay, some would say, take for example, if you felt like the relationship in the past was very aggressive or was quite abusive to you or quite demeaning to you, and now the relationship is changing and it's beginning to look like no, we're starting from a new fresh page, forget about that. We saw that on the stage when the French president actually apologized. He started this in Ouagadougou sometime, And then again, this time around, he apologized. And some of the young people took it upon themselves to say, this is the only chance we have to talk to the president of a different country like France. You know, you don't quite get that in the US, you know, in the UK or any other countries that are quite very eminently placed in Africa. It was something different. But then again, there's an argument that maybe because he's young, maybe because the other one don't understand as the young, maybe because the older generation don't understand the younger generation. What does that communicate to us? What was the feeling like in the room when it says, we are sorry for whatever has happened in the past, for whatever our ancestors have done, for whatever our background has done, for whatever our relationship has been, we are sorry. How did the people who are seated in that place, the young black Africans, look at it, particularly from the point of witness as Peter?
Awesome. So what's interesting is we shouldn't think of history as 50 years or as 500 years.
Yeah.
Let's think of history as history. And if we look back only 50 years, we can see it from only one angle. If we look back 500 years, we can see from a different angle.
Yeah.
If we look back 5,000 years, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Remember the time when you may have been a pharaoh?
Yeah.
Right here where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
When the superpower was the country,
Yes.
the civilization around these waters called the Nile.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a new France Africa summit then,
yes, yes, yes.
hosted by the pharaoh.
Yes, yes, yes.
What was the relationship then?
Yeah.
There are cycles in history.
Of course.
And we can't, I mean, this is my opinion, but I believe we can't focus only on one part of history.
Yeah.
And forget that there has been cycles for quite a while.
Yeah.
I went all the way back to ancient Egypt. But we can go even closer to the Roman Empire. And we can think of the Africans within the Roman legion,
Yes.
who were part of the conquest of France and other places. We could think of the Africans who were part of the conquest of most of Europe during the time when, you know, we had the Moors.
Yeah.
And the Saracens, you know, in Spain and in Italy, who are just kind of near France as well.
Yeah.
History is really interesting. And we've got to think of it and say, great, ultimately, you know, whatever happened 50, 500 or 5,000 years ago, let's look at it holistically and let's look at it with hope. Let's look at it with honesty. And let's look at it with the point of view of building a brighter future where the kids who are yet to be born are able to interact and communicate in a beautiful way. And that's what can build the kind of world we all want to see. And that's what I feel we may have had a bit of a building block of during those days. And it may have been a breath of fresh air for that first step. It is always a first step.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to be done beyond this. People who went have to communicate with each other. People who hosted have to communicate with those who went. People who went have to, you know, people have to figure out how can we take this spark and turn it into a flame and sustain it and build it even bigger and better going forward.
Yeah.
So a seed has been sown. It has been planted. And, you know, the doors have been opened. Now it's important for all of us to make the most of it moving forward.
Yeah.
There are still opportunities to make mistakes. Mistakes are still being made as we speak. But this honesty allows us to now look at things from a different point of view and go, can we learn from mistakes done before? Can we learn from mistakes being done right now? Can we tweak what can still be tweaked?
Yeah.
can we make a difference going forward? Yeah. And it all comes down to communication as a first building block. Because if I'm working with you and you're from France, let's say, or you're from a part of West Africa that only speaks French, I could start by learning some French. And then as we work together, I'll share some jokes with you, you'll share some jokes with me, then you'll teach me some Luganda. And as I learn it, we will be more than just two people who have different cultures. Yeah. We'll be two people who appreciate each other's cultures and look for the similarities between our cultures and encourage each other to be proud of our heritage and move hand in hand that way. So that's part of what we can really take a look at, especially as we move forward. And there is so much more that will come of it as a result. But if we look at it only as a fantastic event, fun was had, good food was eaten, maybe some fundings got here and there, that's not the solid rock upon which we can build a sustainable future of hope. Wow. We've got to go beyond that. We've got to look inwards and say, great, when I saw the Louvre, what will I do with my museum? And say, when I learned about this institute that protects the French language and makes sure it's, understood and appreciated, what will I do with my own languages on this side? When I look at little things like that, when I now say, great, beyond that, what have I seen in Cote d'Ivoire that could benefit from the way I farm in Kirandongo? What have I seen in Mali that can benefit from the way I drill water in Karamoja? Can I share some of those things on that side as well? So we've got to look beyond just France and Uganda, or Uganda and Cote d'Ivoire, but look at ourselves as human beings, and look at ourselves as people who are all little newborn babies at some point, identical in every way, with the same needs, same hopes, same dreams, and same fears, to simply stay alive and be happy. When we build from that newborn within each of us, we're able to build that new Africa, France, and Africa world relationship.
What is your understanding of leadership, Apollo?
I think I will avoid sounding academic.
I'll
bring it down to simple terms, to basic motor porters, the space I manage. When you look at leadership, I think it's the ability to bear knowledge, expose that knowledge to the people that are under your docket, to have a positive attitude that will influence them to apply the knowledge that you expose to them. So leadership starts with knowledge. You display that knowledge, communicate it, give a word. It's actually communication, it's word. That word transfers power and transfers the attitude that you carry to the people that choose to follow you, that choose to believe in the knowledge, in the content that you have. And then by doing that, I think that is the space where leadership can be demonstrated.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Edio Killer, and this is House of Talent Television. In the studio is engineer Peter Nyeko, who is the CEO of Mandulis Energy, and of course REPAL, which is renewable energy powering livelihood, renewable energy powering agriculture in agricultural livelihood. Peter will come and tell us about that. But I just wanted to know, he's also REPAL and he's also Chakula, and I just wanted to break that ice for you so you can know that from a creative point of view, Peter is actually a very serious person. Peter, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
How do I respond in France? When you say Mexico, what do I say next?
Merci beaucoup is basically thank you very much.
Yes. So how do I respond?
De rien.
De rien.
Yeah.
Okay. De rien, Peter.
Okay.
So a quick one. Let's talk about REPAL. Can REPAL go to France? And what is REPAL for everyone? Can REPAL set up in France with this new new Africa-France relationship? Can REPAL also move to France and invest in France?
Thank you very much. REPAL is a company I work at, and I was blessed to be part of the team that set it up. We already have quite strong partners from France. We work very closely with a French NGO. We work very closely with a French new energy company. And we are doing a lot of work right now in Uganda, and we are looking to do more work in other parts of Africa. But beyond that, what has birthed out of our work focusing on renewable energy powering agriculture and rural livelihoods has been discovering a way to innovate the possibility for electricity in a village to be cheaper than electricity in the city for industrial productive use.
Yeah.
That's an innovation that came out of an Africa-France synergy, incubated in Uganda, and now able to be shared with the world, enabling us to figure out that huge issue. Uganda's president talks a lot about the importance of low cost of electricity for industry. Yeah. He talks a lot about the importance of value addition. Yeah. This innovation that's been birthed from a France-Uganda ecosystem, from a France-Africa system, has helped realize that already. Yeah. And we'll be sharing that with other parts of the world. Yeah. But the digital parts of that and part of our digital ecosystem actually involves another startup which is Ugandan birthed, which is actually incubated in Toulouse in France, and is already sharing a lot of knowledge at the forefront of the aerospace industry in Europe, including France. So there are no limits to that conversation.
Yes.
And whatever you're doing, just make sure you do it to the very best of your ability. Make sure you do it so that it not only makes Uganda proud, it not only makes France happy, but it makes the whole world glad and grateful. Yeah. And that's the angle that we're basically pushing. Every one of us has one idea that we may not think much of, but with the right ecosystem, with the right nurturing and the right building, can become something. So if our dear friend, our dear sister in France, in fashion, if she was going to set up a factory, she could even get the investment in Uganda to set up a factory in France. Who knows? What if she finds a way to interact with some of the big French brands out there? Some of the biggest French brands in fashion, in lifestyles, are already working with deep tech and engineering to engineer some of the stuff that they are doing. But who knows? Maybe she's got ways to even interact with some of the stuff they're doing. Maybe they can set up joint ventures together. Who knows? Maybe she can come to one of her friends in Uganda who's built an arcade and invested 10 million euros already in Uganda from their own pocket. Maybe someone like that could even invest in such a Ugandan, enterprise based out of France to then go from France to other parts of Africa. France is actually a very good base to to be if you're going to now go and take a Ugandan innovation to West Africa.
Yeah.
From a base in France, you can do that. If you're going to go to other parts of Africa, which may not speak French, because we found people there who speak Arabic, who speak Portuguese, who speak Afrikaans. You know, Africa is more than just French and English. It's just got so many good things there, including Kiswahili. So, I mean, of course, I speaking more from my hat as, you know, a board member at l'École Diplomatique de Kampala, Kampala Primary School, I very much encourage young Ugandans, Ugandan parents, to encourage little kids growing up to just go online and figure out what are the official languages of the African Union. My prayer is learn all of them. Learn all of them, be fluent in all of them, so that you can be fully African. I want to go to Bloemfontein and speak in Afrikaans. I don't yet speak in Afrikaans, so I've got a job to do. I've got to learn Afrikaans so I can go to SA and be relaxed. I've got to improve my Portuguese so I can go to Playa in Cabo Verde. You know, there's a great man from Cabo Verde in Uganda who's the head of FAO here. I want to go visit Antonio in his home and speak to his people in his language. You know, I want to go, you know, to Morocco and speak to them in, you know, in Maghrebi. You know, it would be great to be in an Africa where we don't need translators.
Wow.
Where, if you're in my village, we will shortwave. If I'm in your village, we'll medium wave. If we're in his village, we'll long wave. Either way, we'll communicate.
Yes.
And that would be so exciting. And that's the biggest thing I got out of these last 2 weeks. The fact that you can bring people together, they'll have one thing in common. Every one of us had a penchant for croissant. Penchant is another word in English that was taken from French, and we now own it in English, right? Like croissant. But everyone in there definitely had croissant for breakfast. I met some people, you know, from Arabic-speaking Africa. I didn't speak to them in French. I just spoke Arabic only.
Wow.
I met those who speak Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, but I tried to meet them halfway and speak to them in Spanish, and they answered back in Portuguese. We made our way somehow, you know. But
you were able to communicate.
Yes, but there's more we can do.
Wow.
Let's sort out that Kiswahili.
Wow.
Let's sort out that Arabic. Let's sort out that Portuguese. Let's sort out that Afrikaans. Let's be able to go and at least have the lingua franca, another French term that we now use in English, lingua franca, and communicate with each other in a way that allows us to share what is deepest. And one thing that made this possible is the fact that His Excellency, you know, the President of France, spoke to everyone in the room in English as well as he was speaking in French to the colleagues who are on stage, the young people. There were translators in the room who were able to translate different languages to those who had the headphones and so on. But I'll be honest, I was most grateful for my French teachers growing up because I didn't need those headphones. And I could get the meaning behind the meaning within the meaning.
That's the reason why we on the show today, because we wanted to start this conversation from the point of the person who understood, the person who speak French, the person who understood, not the person who was being translated for during New Africa France Summit. And that's the reason why we were thinking that we probably need to have Peter just do a series of interview with these guys. Everyone who has been in France coming back here, we want to hear, did they understand the magnitude of the weight placed upon their shoulder? That this is what we're saying we're going for now. As Africa, this is where we're going. And as France, this is what we want to do with you. What is our understanding of this? How does this begin to shape our perspective and attitude towards moving forward? Indeed. Sometimes we're stuck. There was a moment, Peter, on that stage when a man, sort of like grabbed a microphone from the president and spoke, and watching the video, and I said, and he felt like he was going native, sort of, and everything remained calm. I mean, you were processing this not from the English translation to France or French translation to English, but directly from there. What was your assessment of that? Of course, we know that he was trying to test the waters to see, am I free or I am not free? But also sometimes, you know, to outgrow the things that we've been through in life, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes we struggle to be in the future, but while trying to be who we are yesterday, you know, it's very difficult to try to be who you want to be tomorrow, but at the same time in who you were yesterday. It's a very confusing statement right there, but we understood something. There was a calmness of that situation at that moment.
Yes.
What was your assessment, and what did it mean? That assessment really meant to every single black person who was sitting there, including those who are actually the French black people working inside France and their ministers. What signal did it send?
I've got to give a lot of kudos to the French education system, especially in how they train and prepare the diplomats and civil servants for service. I felt so much that everyone in the public sector within France who we interacted with had that decorum, had that calm, had that peace, had that ability. Even those who were even those who were officers of the law, making sure His Excellency was safe, even they had a level of diplomacy which was to write to your grandmother about.
There was no spanking off the stage.
No. And that's something that we can all learn. That's what I think we can learn from that. It's something that we in Africa as young people can learn from. It's something that we can teach kids as they're growing up and say, should we make sure kids learn more about the importance of diplomacy, decorum, and calmness, while not forgetting the importance of making our point heard. But also the importance of listening to someone else's point, allowing them to speak, allowing them to let it all out, to be calm, and then share also what we have to share, but let it be an exchange of ideas, an exchange of experiences, and an opportunity to then let bygones be bygones without forgetting them. And that's really interesting from that point of view. But it's something that not only us can learn from, it's something that also the French private sector can learn from. My prayer is that the French private sector also gets to learn that level of diplomacy and understanding and conversation that the French public sector is incredible at. We, the private sector in Africa, can learn from that. The private sector in France, that's French, can learn from that. The French private sector in Africa can definitely learn from that too. That was something else which we all need to go, take some 3 hours, you know, have some croissants, have a glass of Chateauneuf du Pape, have some, you know, raclettes if you're up in the hills and it's cold, and watch the whole 3.5 hours. It's a learning experience for each of us, whichever way we're looking at it, whether we're a young person, a multinational, or local Ugandan company. Definitely very, very crucial to look at it from all those points of view.
Wow. Peter, we're coming to the evening of our interview today, and I would just want to, first of all, say thank you very much, everybody who has been, you know, watching the program and sharing it far and wide. We also do know that sometimes it's difficult because of the internet in Africa and particularly in Uganda, you know, to the rest of the world, but we will continue to have the broadcast going on, and if you missed a part of it, it will definitely be running over and over for you to be able to catch and not miss any part, or even reconnect with the part that you've missed. And Peter, for me, is having this conversation with you gives a lot more enlightenment to what happened and the insight to what happened on the stage in France, in Montefiore that day, or in those days that you guys were there. And you had a number of people who came with you. Did you have a chance to actually sit down as a, a delegation from Uganda to say, what can we learn from here? What can we do from here? Did you sort of like organize yourself to try and have a Ugandan caucus there to try and engage some of these ministers of businesses to do this from a private sector point of view, as people invite in France, or it was business as usual? We do the conference, we all depart to our rooms, and then see you home.
What was very interesting there was you had groups that came on different days.
Yes.
And within those, you had, a lot of support structures within us. Mm-hmm. We're really grateful to the Embassy of France in Uganda because they actually made sure we were okay all the way through. Yeah. Even as we were making, connections to other parts of Africa and to France, I think our connections within Uganda have been strengthened thanks to this. Okay. We all came from different parts of Uganda, from different walks of life, from different industries, but and different age groups as well. Yes. But I felt this interesting gel forming, from when we're trying to find out, where can I find, toothpaste, or where can I find this, the other. But in this journey, our bonds have become even stronger. And there's so much that we've all learned from, what to me and to others, I hope, was the pièce de résistance of His Excellency President Macron's speech. Another French term, which means the main course.
Yes, yes.
And it came down to what he said in French, and I'll try to translate it to English, but what he said.
You can say it in French.
I'll say it in English. I'll say it in English. I'll say it in English because they can get it in French on the when they get the whole speech. But the challenge is, watch the speech, learn French, so that in 3 years' time you can listen to the whole speech in French. That's my challenge to you, especially everyone who went on delegation. Anyone who works for a French company, just learn French, please. But the meat of the matter was as follows, or vegan meat if you don't eat meat, was France cannot look at its own future and really make it happen if it doesn't consider the Africa within it as well as the Africa without. That's the kind of message.
Repeat that again, Pete.
For France to really look at its own future,
yes,
it has to consider the Africa within and the Africa without. And it's got to consider the history. Mm-hmm. Be they joyous histories, or be they histories that could have been more joyous. That's my interpretation of what I heard as the meat of the matter, which was, we have all had a past. Let's be honest about that past. Let's each of us admit that past. But let's also acknowledge that and move forward. But remember that within us, there is a part of each other. What was big there to me was there is a part of Africa in France. And I don't mean an African as in terms of someone who looks African, but the Africanity. He used the word Africanity. There is an Africanity in France.
Yes.
And there is an Africanity in Africa. The same way, let's find that common core within all of us and build from there. And that's what I thought was amazing, because we all know that civilization became in Africa, life started from here. So when you talk about the Africanity within, you're talking about the core, the building blocks, the beginning. You're talking about, in my opinion, the baby we are each born as. Yeah. And when we go back to that core, we will find the similarities within ourselves to build that brighter future and that more glorious tomorrow. And to paraphrase His Excellency's words again, to make the planet better again.
Wow. Well, Peter, thank you very much, first of all, for this wonderful, deliberation and the show this morning. And of course, this afternoon or this evening, depending on which part of the world you're actually watching the program from. I want to just take a few moments to just read before you close the show. Peter, I want to start from a gentleman here all the way in France. Edio Killer, thank you very much for the show. Merci beaucoup. He's written many other things in French, but he says, I love that gentleman speaking French. It was nice to see some Ugandans actually attend this and pull on that. I've been looking forward, to see how this will come to pass. I live and work in France. And it was a great joy for me to see that the Africans were in France and were beginning to talk about certain things that were never usually talked about. My joy and hope is that the Africans will take this seriously, and it's not just a political speech or a political stage or a platform, but we are actually able to leave this going forward and capitalize on this going forward. I think that it is important that a president of our time begins to lead a way, a new way of the world going forward. Macron, kudos.
Kudos indeed.
Yes. I have another gentleman here. Says, Edukula, thank you very much. I followed the conference from there. I just felt like the delegation from Uganda didn't take much advantage of that. I did not see them engaging business communities there during the conference to actualize that to serious business. So I like the topic you've brought. What does it mean for the creative industry? I think it's not just the creative industry. It should be for the production industry and put all of this. We have many companies from France working in Uganda. And can we have also these Ugandans build some multinational companies working in France? That way we'll begin to see the new Africa-France relationship as a reality. Wow, so people are actually taking this very serious.
Yes.
Peter, I want to read one from, a comment here from Kito Diallo says, thanks, Pete, for a great show. I have a question. France is known for exercising assimilation policy of colonialism, which seemingly was the best at benefiting Africans, where it saw many West Africans heading to France. Is this new French-Africa relationship another form of modern-day assimilation policy?
What I'd like to answer to my dear brother and say thank you so much, merci beaucoup, mon frère, is ultimately, when we look at something new, we look at what was old, we learn from it, and we build something better for the planet and for the future. So whatever challenges were there in the way things have been done before, or the way things may still be being done today in other areas, there is what we should learn from that. And he may have highlighted a few things as well, and I believe we shall learn from that. But what's interesting is, it's no longer a one-way street. I think we can all go online and Google and try to figure out how much French investment is there in Uganda. I speak for Uganda because I live here. I believe one will find that it is significant. One might find that it is so significant that it makes a difference. And one might also realize that there are enough Ugandan investments in Uganda that are sizable enough, and we had a few of them on our delegation. Massive entities that would hold their weight in terms of revenues anywhere in the world, be it in France or even in California. The point is, if a company from France can come to Uganda and help us overcome a few hiccups that we have in certain sectors where they have better experience, we also should consider, looking for opportunities to invest in places like France and other areas where we can build on our knowledge on this side to make a difference there. But more than that, take advantage of what he highlighted. Say, look, I'll go biblical maybe and go, out of the lion's carcass, honey was found. So if the history in West Africa could have been better, we can make it better now. We could say, could a Ugandan company work through France to make a difference in West Africa? Could it work the other way around? There are so many possibilities. Could a West African country, companies from a West African country, go somewhere else and figure out how to better connect with a place like Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania? There's a lot we can learn from each other. There's a lot we must learn from each other. And there's a lot we need to learn from each other to actually move forward, and not just look at the past as sadness, but look at the past not as something to be forgotten, not as something to only apologize for to make people feel better, but as building blocks for the future. And no matter how bad what happened may have been, there is always a way to turn something around to make the most of that. Because if I'm to be very honest, I'll go, well, I talked earlier about going way back beyond 50 years and talking about the Roman Empire and other sort of things and so on. But even I look at just the last 50 to 100 years, I can now go to Côte d'Ivoire and do business because I speak French, and because they speak French, right? Someone from Côte d'Ivoire can come to Uganda and do business if they speak English, because we speak English. That's something worth thinking about. It's not all bad. Of course, there may be a lot that could be made better, but that's what we have to start from. We say, look, it's not perfect, it's not incredible, but it doesn't mean it can't become incredible. It doesn't mean it can't become better. It doesn't mean we can't turn a new page and build a new future and write a new novel, as the head of state said. Write a new novel and make it even more joyous.
Wow. Thank you very much, Peter. I just want to read one more, comment from here as we close the show. And this is really a very interesting one. It's sort of like a comment. It says, Eddie Okila, thank you very much. I hope that we can continue with this conversation for the next couple of days. What I'm really very much particularly interested in, I'm in the art industry, and you're talking about what does it mean for the creative industry in Uganda. Creative industry in Uganda already doesn't have very good policies to be able to help it foster, to go beyond borders. And that's something that we need to look into. But it doesn't mean that everything is doom and gloom. What we're really interested in mostly is to see that this thing that France is actually talking about is a new reality of how people begin to view Africa going forward. What I'm interested in going forward is to see how this conversation you've started on this platform with these people will end. But more especially, I want to see that this is not lip service, it's a reality that can be lived and can be practiced and can be tried and tested. This is the only time France has got to prove itself right from many other countries that have always talked about their heart being for Africa, but they do something different. We've had China talk about Russia and China saying that trade with Africa, but the trading has not been balanced. The Chinese trading in Africa is almost one-way street, is not a two-way street. Can France live its promise that a new Africa can be born? Great, words from Mr. Peter Nyeko, and a shout out to him. And I have a question to Mr. Peter Nyeko. He speaks French very well, seemingly. Can he tell us whether he was able to get a sense of truth from the French people? Because sometimes they can be deceptive. Peter, I think you are now becoming like the Messiah on the French things. I mean, you've had the question coming from my friend Peter right there. Peter is into creative arts industry, particularly is a painter.
Awesome.
Yes, he's a paint artist, and he said he's sold. I know he has sold many of his, art and craft to the French people. I mean, back in the days when I was still very active, I used to be the best MC for the creative arts in Uganda. At some point, we tried to lead, a campaign to raise money to build the National Museum for the creative industry in Uganda. And then that was led by Roberta from Germany, and of course Carol Bodner from Germany as well. And I think there was another gentleman from France whose name I forgot. But that was the discussion. So this relationship has been going on for some time. So Peter has of course benefited from some of this. But then again, everybody is saying, is this something that is going to be a reality? Perhaps we'll bring, people from the French embassy, the director, and maybe even at some point just, put the a French ambassador onto the bench here to basically have this conversation. Is it true? Is it going to be a reality? I wouldn't mind actually, having a conversation with the president himself to say, this is what we want to understand this from the Ugandan perspective. Does this mean it's going to be a reality? But over to you, Peter, as we wind up.
Awesome.
And while you give us that, Peter, we also want to give us the last 3 things that summarizes what you have said today, that of what this summit actually really means for the creative industry. Please
Awesome.
dive into it.
So great. I believe it's real. You can always look at something based not only about what it's spoken, but what has been done. We all know it is a fact that France has really supported the Ugandan creative industry, going way, way back.
Yeah.
Sadly for me as a Ugandan, much more than us as Ugandan business people have, even though we have the ability to. We're learning from France how to appreciate our own. Yeah. We're learning from France how to appreciate Ugandan art and so all the rest of that. So it's already been happening. The fact that a new page is being turned to make it even more interesting and involve us even more in that conversation allows for reflection and gives a lot of hope. It's, I speak the way I speak for many reasons, probably because I'm thinking in Luo and speaking in English, but at the end of the day, when I translated to France, and what I was hearing, when I was there, it's a fact that there is a way forward. The work really right now, at least coming on from the summit, is for each of us, 300 plus who went from around Africa, strangely enough, a huge percentage of that from Uganda. That's another point to think about. If there are 300 and there are 22 from Uganda, Uganda must probably have some form of interest,
significance. Yeah,
yes, and and I mean I do understand.
That's a conversation for another show altogether.
And that's why what does that mean? It means, in my opinion, each of those 22 had something to share with France and something to share with the other African delegates there, which is special about them and special about Uganda that the world needs. Yeah. Each of those 22 who went needs to ask themselves, why me? Why Uganda? What is it that I had to share out there? And what is it that I can still share to make the world a better place and give honor to Uganda? We shouldn't think about it in terms of saying, what do we get from France or what will France give us? No, I believe it's the other way around. I believe it was what France could give us. Yeah. France would just fly in, right? But if you go there and have that conversation, there is something you have to say. There's something which you have to share. There's something which you can do. In some industries, more than one person was on the delegation. And I'd say reflect upon that. What does that mean for the opportunities for your businesses in France, in French-speaking West Africa? There is so much to build on from this. And we, from the business sector, have so much to learn from our colleagues in the arts because they've gone far, right? They've been able to take African art and make it global. Now, can we take African business and make it global? The way African art has gone global? Can we take African education global the way they have taken African music global? Can we take African innovation global the way they have taken African sport global? You see what I mean right there? Yeah. That's what that conversation was happening in there. And it was as honest and as raw as it could possibly be. And I still applaud our hosts for being gracious and allowing each of us to express what was not just at the tip of our tongue, but deep within our souls. Grâce à France. Merci beaucoup et merci à tous.
This one is called manual brewing. This is gravity manual brewing.
Yeah.
It's part of specialty.
Oh.
So we've been talking about specialty. Specialty came and introduced to us manual brewing, 2 methods of brewing. Okay. That's the main difference between specialty and commercial.
Yeah.
In specialty cafes, you'll find people, baristas doing manual brewing.
Okay.
In commercial, they'll be doing only machine, espresso machine.
Okay.
That's another method. And this is another method. So
okay.
we do this one manually. What's the main point of manual brewing? And what is our expectations?
Yeah.
Why do we make manual brewing? What's the difference between this and the normal coffee?
Yeah.
First of all, it's not about making strong coffee, making whatever. No, we can make manual brewed coffee, a very nice one.
Yeah.
What we are looking for is optimum balance.
Okay.
Shouldn't be bitter, shouldn't be too acidic, should be balanced.
Okay.
So someone should drink coffee and enjoy only that.
Yeah. Let's put up the camera.
Believe in your skill and your potential to be a good player, because I know there were times when I didn't think I could do it and I wanted to give up, but then my dad, you know, he was there, he pushed me, he would wake me up for training in the morning. When the last day before I had, you know, shots weren't dropping. You know, you just need to have, and you need to have that self-drive, but you also need to have support. So seek for support from your parents. Don't be shy to bring up the idea of, you know, can I go for training today, or maybe can I get a basketball and be dribbling, because you need to be able to not make excuses for yourself. That's a thing that a lot of people subconsciously do. They're like, well, I don't have a court at home, so I can't do anything. But you can get a basketball and learn to dribble, you know. Then when you actually are able to access a court, you'll have a starting point, you know. And also to, you know, just if you love something, give it your all. Because I know there was a time when I played basketball, but I didn't love it, so I was just, you know, going with the flow, not really, I didn't have any sense of direction, I didn't have any goal. But when I started setting goals for myself and actively trying to reach them, that's when I actually started seeing results, like with the national team. I set that as a goal, and you know, it paid off when I got to play, and also the Kenya camp. Because the second I came back from Cairo, you know, I was sleeping one morning, I had slept, I'd come back, it was the second day we'd been back. I hear a knock at my door, it's my dad. Get up, coach is coming in 30 minutes, be ready. You know, you have to be able to do that for yourself, or have someone who's willing to do that for you. And you know, just look for opportunities to play. I know there's like a lot of people who can't, you know, it's not as simple as just waking up, you know, getting a driver to take you somewhere. But you know, look around, maybe your area, there's like a place you can go for pickup. Maybe you can borrow someone's ball, you know, just if you want it enough, you'll be able to put in the work. Yeah.
First and foremost, thank you very much for hosting me. I'm really, really humbled, and I'm blessed to be here. Yeah, surely. Talking about basketball, personally, my journey of basketball started from far, very, very far. That was in high school, and in a situation whereby we did not have enough exposure. We didn't have coaches. We didn't have the facilities like we do have them right now. Although I'm saying this like there are so many years ago, there are not so many. That was about, I began knowing basketball in 2007. That was at KPC when I was in P7 vacation. That is end of 2007 actually, that KPC North. That's when I first started basketball. Then 2008 when I joined Namibyango in Senior 1. I saw people playing. Actually, the people whom I saw there playing and inspired me were Sally of, he played for Chambogo Warriors.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
The left-handed.
Yes, yes. And Omongin.
Yeah.
Omongin, last I saw him playing for City Oil. Those were the guys whom I found in Namidanga. I was in senior one. These guys were playing basketball at another level. And we would actually just go there to watch them. You know, for us by that time, they couldn't allow you to step on the basketball court that those guys are on, because they were senior sixes. You are a senior one, you just the best you can do is watch. Other than that, you don't step there. But nonetheless, that's where I started. Beautifully, or I would say lucky for me, that when I was playing with those guys, once in a while when they could see me about midday one, when the sun is very hot, when they are still resting and waiting to come. So when we would go to court and, you know, try a few shots here and there, and then they would come and they meet us, they would see what we are doing, and, you know, they would identify talent. I don't know if I can use that one. So, you know, one or another, they identified my talent. They realized I could at least throw in the ball. At any sport. They would just give it to me. Although I was weak, I didn't know how to bounce. They only told me one thing: throw in the ball. And throwing in the ball gave me an opportunity to play with them. When I was in senior one, senior two, but still, of course, I still had people who didn't believe in me, and it was challenging.
If you look at City Oilers, I mean, we've been, you know, champions for the last, you know, 7 years, and I can tell you that it's because of the players that we have on the team, and I would say that we have, you know, some of the best players in the Ugandan league, you know, on the City Oil. So as a coach, you want to pick your best players in the country to play, and I will not say it is unfortunate that they all come from City Oil, but, you know, a lot of those players, you know, are City Oilers, and I really, you know, don't want to see it that because I'm a City Oilers coach and management is City Oilers, it's just purely on statistics, and
in summary, you're saying it's purely based on merit.
It's definitely based on merit.
Welcome to the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. It's a lovely Saturday, another day to talk basketball, and today in the house we have two surprise guests. We have always had guys in the house, but we're going to change it up just a little bit. But remember, we are live on YouTube at House of Talent live stream Uganda, or you can catch us HTV1 on our Twitter. And to begin the show today, I have two ladies in the house, beautiful ladies. For the guys who are out there watching, I know there are guys who have been waiting for this to happen. Ladies, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Esther and Brony, and surprise, surprise, one of them was actually almost Miss Uganda, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Ladies, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of guys on the show, and it's a rare thing to have ladies come through. Yeah, so I believe the guys out there have tuned in, you know. So, so we have to live up to the hype today, you know, for the show. Just to start off, tell us about yourselves. Okay, we'll start with you, Brony. I know you, but there are guys out there who want to know you more. So just tell us more about you.
My name is Kusima Brony Divine. Age, let me keep that. I am at Makerere University pursuing a bachelor's degree in nursing. And I'm in my year 2. Basically, that's mainly it, other than the basketball and the modeling bit and family.
So for how long have you been in year 2? Because this, we have to be sure, this COVID thing.
I am supposed to be a proud year 3 clinical student, but here I am.
Still
year 2.
Second year.
Yes.
Interesting, good to know you. Esther?
Esther Mirembe. I'm in second year as well. pursuing a bachelor's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, Makerere University.
Yeah, so all of you supposed to be third years, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Well, again, welcome to the show, and today we just want to talk about women's basketball in Uganda. But before we get to that, your coach was here, OJ. All of us didn't know he actually had a full name. Mr. Osito Jacob. Yeah. And before you guys went for the FISU games in Kenya, he was here and he was telling us that his girls are going to win. Okay, and it's good to see that he lived up to the hype. You guys actually walked away with a bronze. You see you taking the gold for that. We just want you to walk us through the whole experience, from training at the main ground to the bus ride, all the way down to the games, and what happened there, what was the experience, how did you guys come up with the bronze instead of the gold, what were those things that, happened along the way? I'll go to you, Esther, first.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'll say we had help of our coaches from the very beginning. Yeah. We had so much training. We really did train because we came earlier, had a small camp, since we were home for the whole COVID thing, and we were all chilling, we were off. When it comes to, we were really off. Yeah. So yeah, we had training, we had a camp, we all came, all of us, the 5. We had a team selected, so they kept on choosing and choosing until the final 4 players that were to represent Makerere University. And yeah, it was to the whole thing of the traveling and all that. The university made it easy for us. They facilitated everything, actually. Yeah, we recommend them for that. It was a good ride. Even the boys team, they also had the same experience. We had different coaches coming down to help us. Even to choose the team, the coaches were there to help. So they made sure at least they would have a team that would bring something back home. Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
Bernie, do you have a different perspective on what happened?
Maybe to supplement and just to say that this was our captain for the travel. We sadly lost Sharina because she had an injury. Yeah, but we traveled with her and we had her support all through. But I would like to just talk about the team select. The togetherness of sports. As much as they chose the 4 people, the others came every single day to train with us and help us get better, push us, and they did not play with us. Those girls were out for blood. And I'd remind you every day, like, if you do not make the basket, I'm taking your passport. So it was such a beautiful thing training with them. And I guess the journey was, because it was bus, it was a bit hectic. We were tired. We just wanted to reach. But when we got there, Makerere took very good care of us, the facilitation and everything. And I guess having that exposure to look at other teams play and what they do and learn a bit from each and every one of them and our coaches and the support system, it was a beautiful experience.
Well, it's exciting to know that Makerere took care of you, because you've had complaints about MOOC not actually taking care of its players. But I mean, if they took care of you guys this time,
I don't complain.
Well, that's a good thing then. Esther, going for the games, we had teams that represented Uganda. There was you guys, of course, Makerere University. There was the UCU. We had Ndeje coming through. Okay, and there's a particular style of basketball we play in Uganda, which I believe is kind of different from the basketball that is played by the Kenyans or the Zambians or the Senegalese. Okay, what are some of those things that you learned from the other teams going forward? Because I believe that you have a tournament 5-on-5 coming up in July next year. So what are some of those lessons that you learned from playing these other teams that will carry you forward into next year's tournaments?
Okay, those the teams that we played gave us a really good challenge from the very beginning. There was no team that came joking. That is number 1. All teams came when they are looking at the gold. Whatever the case was, it was the gold that they wanted. So they came prepared. One of the things that we saw, we have teamwork, that is 1. But at a point with 3-on-3, it kept on being, there was no shot clock for those games, but somehow the games were running so fast and they were using the easiest way of making the baskets. is it the shooter on the the 3-pointer line? They would like get the ball, dish it out there straight, not think of, okay, now set, do this and all that. Yeah. It was quick reaction throughout the whole time, all teams. So one thing, it was first and foremost, it was fun. The games were fun. Yeah. Yeah, and also we learned different things with the different plays that we usually use in our games that our coaches gave us, even as the ones that we tried to use. Yeah. We realized a few of those that they were using, tried to play it out. Because of the quick reaction, it gives you it gives you game reading. So your game reading gets faster because now you know they get the ball and it is straight to the shooter and it's a two-made already. Yeah. So you have to get your head into the game. You have to be on your toes all the time because for that anything is happening at that time. Yeah. No time to doze or think or anything. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we realized because we kept on, after every game, we kept on sitting and talking and feeling like, okay, what are we doing for this game? You've seen what has happened in the previous game. Yeah. This and this and this happened. So what are we doing? Because this other team that is coming up, they play like this or they have this kind of thing. What are we doing for it? Yeah. So you're going in that game already knowing some of the things you're going to do so that you fail their plays that they want to do on you. Yeah.
Yeah, so
basically those are some of the things.
So it's a good scouting report basically for what's coming up.
Yeah, so we know. We know.
Yeah. To Bronny, you guys walked away with the bronze, okay? I know you would have loved to walk away with the gold, okay? It would have been actually historic for Makerere University, yeah? What are some of those things that you guys as a team failed to do, okay, that didn't enable you to get to where you wanted to?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the challenges that we start with here.
All right.
Number one, we're students, so we don't have enough training time. Most of these people were playing, have been training for months. They had training camps. When we talk to the other teams, they tell you, I've been training for this for 6 months. Yeah. Some of us hadn't played ball for a year. And we're trying to pull each other, come, let's play. Yeah. Because there isn't a built system that's catering for sports athletes and athletes in Makerere. So that was a problem. So we had very little training time. We literally had 3 weeks of very, very strict training. Yeah. Then after that, when we reach the other side, 5-on-5, you have a whole 10 minutes. Yeah. You can even use the whole first quarter to warm up. You're in your zone. Yeah. But 3-on-3, the moment you're on, it's business from second one to the last second. So I guess given that most of us had not played 3-on-3 a lot, it was taking time for us to adjust at the beginning. Or maybe we'd get lazy in the middle of the game, and yet those 10 minutes are supposed to be strong throughout. You do not stop. Yeah. And then 3-on-3 needs a lot of shooting, but for us, we had a driver, we had the big man, right? Yeah. And that's it. And our shooter. Our shooter got issues and it was her bad day.
But I thought Esther was the shooter.
Yes.
Things happen.
Our shooter got 2 bad days, which was understandable. So imagine we don't have another shooter to rely on. Yeah. When I noticed UCU, everyone can shoot, everyone can drive, and everyone can post at some point. But for us, we had one person that's going to drive, one person that's going to post, and one person that's going to shoot. Yeah. So it was tricky. We had to fight for every basket. It wasn't easy that I'm going to just shoot and that's it. Yeah. We had to fight for every basket. We were not taking time to play as a team. We were rushing things. Yeah. Even when we're in the lead, the teams were supposed to beat. For example, we lost one game, which was such a tough loss. Yes, it was 3-2. Yeah. Such a painful game. We wanted to die. Yeah. So that game we beat everyone apart from Kenyatta, 3-2, and then they had to use numbers to table us. Yeah. And Rwanda had beat Stellenbosch by a very big range. It was 18-3. Yeah. Then us, we were lazy in that game because it was a sure win. So there were very little and small ranges. So it turns out that we ended up being second, which made us play UCU and not Zambia. So
not Zambia. It was
Senegal.
Yeah.
So those are all things that we're not looking at, because coach told us, had you guys beaten Stellenbosch, the small games are also important. Yeah, so those small things that mattered. Yeah.
Interesting. You talked about having a bad day as a shooter. Yeah, so I believe that for every game you go for, every tournament or every training session that you go for, there is a certain kind of preparation that you have to, put in. Okay, so you as a shooter, entrusted to shoot for the team, going in and having a bad day. How do you bounce back?
In the very beginning, after it was like all out there, the 4 was selected and all that, I won't lie, I leaned back a little bit. So I used to go and shoot early in the morning before I go to my internship place for work. But for that last week, I didn't step on court. I just woke up to go for internship. And I felt like the shot is on. It will definitely be on even those days. And then things happened. But one of the things, it is something that it got me thinking that you cannot reach a certain point, you feel like you have achieved, and then you lay back thinking it is all done. You have to be consistent on everything from the very beginning to the last, so that the whole time that you gave in the very beginning does not all go to waste. Because when I leaned back the last week and I used not to go for the morning shooting and all that, it reached in the games and the shots were off. Like it would hit the hoop and then come back to you. It reached a point and my teammates are telling me, Esther, don't shoot. Okay, come inside. Okay, do this. Okay, just drive. Don't shoot. It reached a point where they were not now allowing me to take the attempts because it would cost us. We have to fight for the rebound, or else if it's not for the rebound, they have to now fight to make sure they get the ball back to someone on the top. At least we continue having the possession of the ball. So one thing I learned. And I learned from experience, I cannot do it again. I cannot.
Good reader.
Because now my back, I feel like all the time I invested in the very beginning all went to waste. Just by cheating in the last week. And then when I reached, the energy was too much or it was less. So you just don't give up. You continue until it is the time for the game, so that you're still on form. You realize your hand is moving the other way, because it's a point and my hand was doing this instead of going straight. And I realized that in the game. But whenever you used to, you do your trainings and you put that right, you know that the first shot may go wrong, but the other shots are going to be right. So just don't lean back. You just have to continue.
So the lesson is here: don't procrastinate.
I
always say don't become a professional procrastinator. That takes away from you. Well, you're watching the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. In the house, Esther and Bronny, and like I said earlier, one of these two ladies was in Miss Uganda. We'll be getting to know more about that after the break. Stay here. This is House of Talent Television, Slam Dunk Basketball Talk.
Believe in your skill and your potential to be a good player, because I know there were times when I didn't think I could do it and I wanted to give up, but then my dad, he was there, he pushed me, he would wake me up for training in the morning. When the last day before I had, shots weren't dropping, you just need to have, and you need to have that self-drive, but you also need to have support. So seek for support from your parents. Don't be shy to bring up the idea of, can I go for training today? Or maybe can I get a basketball and be dribbling? Because you need to be able to not make excuses for yourself. That's a thing that a lot of people subconsciously do. They're like, well, I don't have a court at home, so I can't do anything. But you can get a basketball and learn to dribble, Then when you actually are able to access a court, you'll have a starting point, And also to you know, just if you love something, give it your all. Because I know there was a time when I played basketball, but I didn't love it. So I was just, you know, going with the flow, not really, I didn't have any sense of direction. I didn't have any goal. But when I started setting goals for myself and actively trying to reach them, that's when I actually started seeing results, like with the national team. I set that as a goal, and you know, it paid off when I got to play, and also the Kenya camp. Because the second I came back from Cairo, you know, I was sleeping one morning, I had slept, would come back, it was the second day we'd been back. I hear a knock at my door, it's my dad. Get up, coach is coming in 30 minutes, be ready. You know, you have to be able to do that for yourself, or have someone who's willing to do that for you. And you know, just look for opportunities to play. I know there's like a lot of people who can't, you know, it's not as simple as just waking up, you know, getting a driver to take you somewhere. But you know, look around, maybe your area, there's like a place you can go for pickup. Maybe you can borrow someone's ball, you know, just, if you want it enough, you'll be able to put in the work. Yeah.
To the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. Remember, you can catch us live on our socials, HTV1, on our Twitter. You can go to our website, houseoftalentuganda.com. You can go to our YouTube, House of Talent Uganda live stream, or just go up to our Facebook, catch this show live, share it far and wide. If you know there is someone who needs to be watching this show, especially for the ladies, and I know the guys out there are interested in what's happening here today, just share the show. And with me in the studio today are Esther and Bronny, who are fresh from winning a bronze medal at the FISU Games 3-on-3. By the congratulations, ladies, for that. Before we went for the break, I will talk about how you bounce back, you know, from being a non-shooter, as we'd like to say it on court. Yeah, but it's always good to own up, you know, to the mistakes that you make on court. So, to Bronny, when you realize that one of your teammates is having a bad day or a bad tournament, okay, most of us would maybe shout at them, okay, which would really put them down. All right. So what do you do in such a situation? You as Bronny, okay, when your teammate is having the worst day possible and you know you're supposed to depend on them, okay? What do you do to let the team know that you can do better and to let that player know that, you know what, it's okay. This is basketball.
Number one, for those that have played with me, you'd know I am not the kind of person that's going to have an emotional breakdown on court. I am never going to shout at someone or anything. So it's something I've always trained myself to do, because personally I do not like to be shouted at. The moment you shout at me, I am gone. So I would, when she was having a bad day, I would always encourage her. 3-on-3 involves a very simple, what are they called? Subs. I'm forgetting the word subs. Very simple subbing. So when she was on court and I was out, I would tell her, are you okay? Esther, are you okay? Do you need to sit down? You got this, you know? But you're the coach, because there is no coach. So every time I was on the bench, because mainly it was her and I switching out, I would make sure I'm talking out to her, because I know her mind is now frustrated. So I'm going to be her guide and her eyes. I'm telling her, move like this. They're bringing a screen. I'm being her eyes off the court. So away from 3-on-3, what I usually do is I wait for maybe a break or when the ball goes out, and I talk to my teammate and try to reassure them, because that's what I need right now. I need for their minds to be on this court. And maybe I can tell them, try to do this, try to do this, try to do something else. I try to avail for them. And I try to not put them in trouble. So many times when you get stranded, you don't want to look bad. So you're like, yo, I'm just going to throw this ball to Esther right there. Let her look bad, you know? So I try so much to make sure I'm creating less situations for my teammate to feel more frustrated. I'm taking on the burden. Even if she's not playing defense, I'm going to play it for her and then tell her, like, do this and do this. So I try to be as supportive as possible, while inside I'm saying, God, Christ, what is happening?
So basically be your sister's keeper on the court.
Yes.
To Esther, basketball is a team sport, okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which sport, even tennis, you know, it's you, the racket and the ball, but behind there's a lot that, you know, goes on. You have the coaches, you have the trainers and all this. What are some of those things that you guys did off the basketball court to help you gel as a team? Because different characters, okay? And when it comes to ladies, it's even worse. Yeah. So what are some of those things that you guys did while off the court to make sure that the team came together?
Okay, yeah. First of all, the team, I don't know, right from here, when we were training, we built that bond as a team. Having a bond or team chemistry is one of the biggest things that can make your team either be good or very bad. So the chemistry between the players, that is one thing. We were connecting off and on court. Like if it was anything, we would, before training, we communicate to each other, are you coming for training? Are you coming for training? That is one thing. We always knew what, where, how, about everyone. Like where are you? What are you doing? We never walked alone, even for the games. We were together the whole time. If it was to watch a certain team, be like, guys, let's watch this game. And then everyone was given room to speak. I don't know. I was the captain, but I didn't dominate. I made everyone feel like this is a very free world. Like, please say whatever you feel like. And it helped us a lot. Like the friendship. We are friends. That was like the biggest thing. First of all, from the very beginning, we were friends. So it helped us even connect more, have a chemistry more, know how each other wants to play, how they want you to play, when they do this, what they want you to do. So it lessened the issues that might have come up. That is like the whole thing. It lessened the issues, the friendship, the bond, the care. That is it.
Interesting, because I coach a ladies team. And I've coached both of you before. Ladies always have a lot that is happening. So for them to bond and come together, I believe that when they actually bond, it's a very strong bond. Okay, but lack of that, you guys are student athletes. Okay, obviously you have to study and play basketball at the same time. And like Bronny, you're in the medical field. Okay, and most of the people who are in the medical field, be it pharmacy, be it medicine itself, they always disappear. They feel like there's no time. There's no time to do other things. So how do you balance? Okay, you especially being in the medical field. Okay, how do you balance that with basketball time?
Well, okay. So I know you know because you're my coach. You know that I'd taken the year off since COVID March because I had a lot. I have a crazy schedule. I study even on the weekends, and I just couldn't also show up for training. So many times I would show up late. Maybe I'm missing something at school to show up, or I'm doing something at school and missing training, and it was showing on the court. And I do not like to do things half-heartedly, so I decided to take a break until I can regather myself and be able to do both of them without losing any of them. But how I try to balance, people have always asked me this. Number one, it's grace of God. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, God, I need to go through this day and I need to do all these things. But it takes a lot of discipline. The things my friends are going to do, but I'll never do them because I don't have time to do it. So you have to have discipline, prioritize, know what you have to do at what time, have a timetable and follow it. No procrastination. I do not get to lay around and say, I'm not in the mood to do this. I either do it at that time or there is no other time to do it. So basically you just have to be committed, be consistent, try to make sure that you're showing up for each, and when you're there 100%. I know when I was training, I would have only evening times. I'm the kind of person that never had extra time to train past high school. So every time I was on court, I would give 100. Whether my teammates were slacking down or not, when coach said sprint, I would sprint like my life depended on it, because it's either now or never. So try to give 100, and basically at the end of the day, I just trust God for all those things.
Interesting. To Esther, you're doing psychology.
Yeah.
Okay. One would say that's also not an easy course. All right. Okay, it's not something like medicine where it takes up all your time, but still, I believe that it also takes a large amount of your time. Okay, and there's always that influence of our parents. Okay, with Ugandan parents or African parents for that case, books before everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is it with your parents? Do they support you playing basketball? Or it's these things of you have to hide and make sure no basketball photo of you goes up on social media? How is it with your parents?
My parents are very supportive.
Yeah.
They are very, very supportive. I actually thank God for that, because we have had fellow teammates where they have to hide, like you've said, hide or facilitate themselves for anything and everything about basketball. Yeah. But my parents are very supportive. When it came to the time of, I think I'll make it on team, what. The passport, they made sure I get it on time before even anything, before it was even confirmed. The COVID, they made sure I had the shots like on time. Yeah. If it is the shoes that I need, I'm not going to hustle. They're going to give me that money and I buy the shoes. Basically, even if I say I have training tomorrow, at this time, they'll give me the transport and everything. They're very supportive. That is for sure. Yeah. So I don't know how to hustle when it comes to basketball. Yeah.
I wish more parents were supportive. I remember when I was playing basketball, we had to hide to play basketball.
What?
You were caught playing basketball. It was like a crime, basically. Yeah. But going forward, I think our parents realized that it's actually a good thing. Yeah. To Bronnie, the secret has to come out. We were talking about it earlier.
True.
Okay. We know that you're not only a basketballer, you're not only a student. There are other things that you actually do. Some people might know it, but some don't. Okay.
Yeah.
A while back, you actually were in the run for Miss Uganda. Yeah, and to some people, surprise, surprise, she was. Okay, so how did you move from basketball all the way to Miss Uganda? Because it's like a complete switch. Okay, and what was the experience like? Did you involve any basketball while you were in the Miss Uganda run? How was it?
Miss Uganda was a beautiful experience, hands down. I learned a lot, I grew a lot. I would never take it back for anything. I would just say I have very many different personas. I have my hands in a bit of everything. And I think it's because I believe in being multi-talented, being, what's the word?
Diversifying.
Diversifying everything. Because when I was in Miss Uganda, my theme was creating a multi-talented youth. And I believe maybe I'll do it through sports and all these other co-curricular activities that are there to do in addition to education. So it was a beautiful experience, and I'm a kind of person that dreams, and I will move heaven and earth for my dream to come true. So I reached top 5. I was Miss Sports, Miss Pulse, and when I was there for talent, we have very many different things that we do. There is a beach photo shoot and all that. But for talent competitions, I was doing a poem. But I didn't want to do the normal kind of poem that people do. I recited a Maya Angelou poem, and I made a few tweets to it. I hope Maya Angelou was proud. And I put on my basketball attire, because the poem was about a woman and all the things a woman is going through. I believed that my basketball attire was maybe a representation of something a woman is trying to do that is thought of as a manly thing. And I went with my basketball, and I just held my ball and recited my poem as I was doing a bit of dribbling. Then at the end, I put the microphone down and I did a bit of dribbling. I almost lost the ball. But it was such a beautiful experience, and they were shocked. People kept asking me, "You play basketball? Tell me about basketball." And I felt like at some point it helped me put basketball out there for the world and maybe other people. So, yeah.
Interesting. I remember seeing that video, and As a coach, I was just praying, don't lose the ball, don't lose the ball.
Right? I was thinking, okay, I'm doing this, but I can't just do the front dribble. Let me try that between the legs, behind the back. So as I'm doing the third behind the back, I hit my heel, and the ball just goes away. But everyone is like, yeah. So yeah, saved by the scream.
You got away with it.
I got away with it, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, you're a girl, you can do more than basketball, you can do more than studying. There's a lot you can do with your life, and these ladies are here to let you know about that. We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we'll be talking more about ladies basketball in Uganda, the challenges, and where do we stand. This is a Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Lateng. We'll be right back after this.
One game, one sport, brotherhood, and when you go out there and you put out your hearts and you play great, yes.
I like that East African basketball has really grown, you know, represented by Uganda, South Sudan, by Rwanda, and by Kenya. I know Tanzania is still lagging behind a bit, and Burundi is yet to come, but, you know, having four of these teams from East Africa making it all the way, to the second round is a very good thing. It shows that there's positivity, in African basketball. It's really growing.
And in the region,
yes,
mostly.
in the region. That is what we need to see. I think in no time we're going to have a lot of players, in the NBA, playing in other leagues. And FUBA, we should really pick a leaf from what, Ferroba has done. And like you said, let's break it down, rebuild it.
Yeah, but in my view, it's not about just taking out the carpet so that you can sweep the dust there. Yeah. We shouldn't actually pick a leaf from Ferroba.
We should take a tree.
We should take the entire tree.
With its roots.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Lateng, and in the studio, Esther and Brony. For those of you who are waiting for that secret, well, the cat's out of the bag. Brony was, in fact, in the run to be Miss Uganda. She didn't. She fell short of it, but she got a lot of things that other people just dream about, So, Brony, what was the feeling like when you didn't actually make it all the way? I know that you would have loved to be Miss Uganda, but what was the feeling like, going home that day and knowing that, I didn't reach the goal?
Well, that day was very dramatic for me, because Miss Pulse, I was sure I was going to win. All the numbers said so. But when it was time to actually call out the person, we would stand in two lines, and I was at the back. So the person standing next to me made space, and we learned how, because we have to smile, we learned how to talk to each other through teeth. So my friend is like, this is your sport, right? So I'm preparing to move, and they're reading someone else. It was such a shaky experience for me, and I had to be strong, but I felt so bad because I knew what my family had put in out there campaigning for it. But yeah, it was later on corrected. But when I went for the top 10 and the top 5 questions, I think a little part of me was not there on that stage. But I felt good. I felt proud of myself because I wanted this and I went for it. And when you go for Miss Uganda, you realize, of course, you go knowing we're 22 girls. Not everyone can win. So I was just really proud of how much I've done and how much I had learned and how much the experience had impacted on me. And I was so happy for the winner because she was my roommate. And as long as the three of us got it, we'd all got it. So yeah, I was really proud of myself.
Well, congrats again.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll run, for another when it comes around.
Not a chance.
Not a chance?
No.
All right. Maybe we'll pass it over to Esther.
Maybe we'll pass it over to Esther.
Yeah, talking about that, Esther, away from basketball and away from psychology, okay? what are some of those things that you do as Esther? You know, we never know, you might be a Rihanna in the making, or you know, an Azawi in the making, you know. So what do you do outside basketball in school?
First and foremost, I'm a pastor's daughter. Yeah, so I grew up in church. Yeah. I can try singing. I'm not a whole Rihanna, but somehow, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, so I'm in, I'm in the choir ministry. I'm a worshiper. Yeah, that's it. That is my, most of the time when I'm not doing basketball or campus, you're going to find that I have practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, of course. Yeah, so it is church, basketball, books.
Yeah. So balancing church and basketball is a tricky experience, because the culture of basketball has always been deemed to be one of, you know, guys who are kind of wayward, you know, guys who are not really straight, if I could put it that way. You know, so how do you balance your faith and basketball? Because if I come and say, you know what, Esther, we need to go and do this, and your faith says no. Yeah. So how do you balance, you know, that kind of temptation that comes with the culture around basketball with your faith?
I would say it is the grace of God, because you cannot just stand and say, I'm not going for this. Trust me, by your own power, strength, you can't. Because it is fun. When you look at it, it is really fun. You want to try it, but then you remember, okay, to talk something small, there is this teaching, there is Make a Church. It's about your relationship with God. It is one of the biggest things. So you realize it is going to take you back from where you have been, and you're going to know that you have actually set a foot back or set so many steps back. So you know how much it is taking you back and how much you're going to go through going back, so that you can reach where you have been or even pass it. So it is basically God. Also, like, you have to pray so much. You ask God for the strength, because not everyone can do it. Otherwise, if you just chill, you may just find yourself that side, and everyone just looking at you. As for my dad, who is a pastor, like, he will tell you, I'm not going to come looking for you around clubs, what, even if I hear that you were there or something, I'm not going to come looking for you. You know the right thing to do. So that is the first thing. I'd be like, oh God, my dad knows I know the right thing to do, so how is he going to hear me that I did this? So I just decide to accept what is happening, what I am, and then do the other side of it, like the right thing. Yeah, basically that is it. Otherwise, you cannot just do it by yourself. Yeah.
Interesting. There's a lot of things that go into basketball. Okay. Obviously, Bronnie, you mentioned one earlier, discipline. Okay. And I believe that to handle such a situation, one, yes, you need God, but you also need to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Okay. True. God will create for you situations where you need to be disciplined. He won't give you the discipline. Okay. Bronnie, what are some of those other elements that you have learned in the game of basketball, through the game of basketball, that have helped you in your normal day life?
Number one, hard work. There is talent, yes, but hard work beats talent. I know for a fact, most of the things I do, I am not a natural talent. Yes, there is a bit of talent, but I would attribute most of it to hard work. So hard work is very important. You have to work hard for the things that you want. You have to go for the things that you want, which is basketball. If you want to make the basket, you want to win the game, you have to wake up and decide, today I'm going to be aggressive, today I'm going to do my part to win this game. Basketball is a team sport. That teaches me to work with other people, to work with a family. I'm told I'm a great leader. I will get things done. So that's something I know I have got from basketball. Basketball gives you exposure. It's a big field. We know basketball usually has large crowds. So it helps you learn how to handle different kinds of people, how to handle the spotlight, because we know basketball is known as a cool sport. In school, when you play basketball, it's like the basketballers are coming. They're going to sit right over there. So it helps you know the spotlight, how to handle it when it comes. However small the spotlight is, when it comes, it's a spotlight in whatever perspective of your life it is. Then basketball has taught me to persevere. Life is not easy. When we left Form 6, they were telling us, hey, when you leave high school, things are going to be nice. It's a lie. Accident. Adulthood is a lie. There is so much you have to do. There is so much you have to show up for. There is so many people are looking at you and expecting a lot from you. So all that, if you cannot persevere, if you cannot get all those things from basketball, from sports, from whatever line of your life it is, and just fix them in also your normal life, it's just not going to work. When I talk to most basketballers, Claire Lamunu, for example, was telling us in high school, she's an athlete abroad, and she plays, she trains twice, she works, and she has education. So with all that, she has like 2 hours of sleep. That's something you can't just do as a normal person, but you know you have to do this. And those are things you learn, because basketball, even if your muscles are hurting, you have to defend that basket, even if, you know. So all those things put together are things I get from basketball.
Over to Esther. Is there anything else you can supplement on that?
About what she said?
Or about, you know, the different challenges maybe you'd have in basketball and all.
Okay, so the different challenges that are in basketball for the women in general, I feel like there is a lot of stereotyping. Like you said, when we had just come, you said it is usually the men. So it is usually the men in the basketball community. But so many women have come up, but there is a way people feel like, oh, so you play basketball? When you look like that? No, you don't look like you do. Can you even push some? Okay, can you really stand your ground? Can you, like, it is, the stereotyping is there, but that alone cannot stop the women from playing. So I urge guys, like the girls, please, like, continue playing, whichever stereotype may be there. It is for us to, like, hit and go through that glass ceiling, whatever that is, so that we can be better. And then maybe the other thing, like she said, the brain drain in athletes. Most of the times, I for one, if I got a very good opportunity to go abroad for basketball, I would surely and also pack my bags because I feel like there is so much more that you get from outside than what you're going to gain from here, right from that training, like, I don't know, there are so many activities, the way they're going to get you prepared for the training, the things that you're getting out of it. Like you're going to play, you're going to play your whole heart out, knowing that everything else is set. But here you're playing, you don't know if supper is actually there. So you have to go and hustle out. So sometimes you'll even be like, okay, I have training, but I have to work. Basketball is not going to feed me, let me go for workout, train some other time. You get, that is another thing that I feel is affecting the women basketball kind of thing in this country. Those are the few things that I think,
Okay, well, 2020 and 2021, okay, with the coming through of COVID, the basketball league was cancelled. That's actually all basketball in Uganda was cancelled. Okay, so basically 2020 no basketball, 2021 no basketball, and we had the men playing the Afro basket. Ladies were supposed to go play a similar tournament, but government or NCS in that form did not actually put in the finances for them to go out there. We also have the second division basketball league that is running right now, all men. Okay, the ladies league was not reinstated. Okay, so it looks like basketball in Uganda has become a male-dominated field. Okay, now how do we get the women up there when it comes to basketball? Because I believe that you guys are looked down upon. Okay, just like you said, when someone looks at you and is like, oh, you also play basketball. Okay, yet when you look at the international scene, okay, look at the WNBA, look at basketball in Europe, okay, it's a situation whereby the ladies might not be that up there, but they're somewhere. Okay, and in Uganda we need to get ladies to that point. Okay, so what can we do to develop women's sports in relation to basketball in Uganda?
Number one, before I talk about the we, I need to talk about the I.
Yeah.
As women, what are you doing? You know, when we look at the world in general, we've been fighting right from the word get-go, right? Yeah. Like a girl has to stay home. There are all these things about a girl that a girl has to do. So if you want something, what are you doing to fight for it? Yeah. I remember when I wanted to play basketball, on the court, when the boys had to train, the girls, you either join or leave. But the boys are not going to play you like a girl. They're going to push you around. You know, basketball is a very contact sport. So at some point, he's going to touch you where you do not want to be touched by mistake. And you're thinking, oh my God. So these challenges start with the I. When all those things happen, what are you doing? Are you crumbling, or are you standing out to fight for yourself? I remember so many people, we started with left because I want to train, but they're getting me off the court. Those that wanted to train would stay and just push through with the boys. I want to train, but I can't run. Basketball is a running sport. So what are you doing when they're cutting off the women's basketball? What are we as women doing about it? You know, people are always raising funds for a lot of things. What are we as the women that want basketball to grow doing? I remember they collected money for the males team sometime. Did we as women come up to say, you know, let's do the same for the women? I'm sure most of us also contributed for the boys as well to go. So number one, what are we as women doing? Number two, when we go to the big level, we need more women reinstated in like big places. For example, we need more female umpires. We need more female coaches. That only, if you ask me to state a female coach, in my mind, I know one person. Coach Mavita Ali. That's it. She's the only lady I know and have seen ever since I was a little girl playing basketball. She's the only lady I know that, maybe there are others, but she's the one that I've actively seen do something for the women through what she was doing with Score Beyond. I know there is Angels doing something. The different teams are doing things. There are grassroots programs. What are we doing to bear the girls? Girls do have challenges, so yeah, as much as we preach equality and equity, girls are going to need a little extra attention for them to have to go against all those challenges at home, in their lives, in their bodies, to show up on court and do what they have to do. Then the opportunities that are set for girls. For example, university, there is that four points that are given to the girls, or the scholarship, the sports scholarship. It's giving a girl a bit of a higher chance, you know. Yeah, some boys will argue that it's unfair, but it is that those are some of the things I'm seeing that are done. So now when we look at the league, what are they doing to make sure that those young kids are getting in? If it wasn't for my coach, I wouldn't know about NBL and how to get in. So these teams, what are they doing to go to schools and scout the little girls that are playing so well to join their teams? Because I know most teams wait for the girls to come to them. They put it out there, yeah, we're waiting for players, and girls go. But as teams, are you reaching out to make sure? I've gone to the grassroots to see which girl is playing so well. I've noticed in the abroad, when you're going to play, they scout you, they give you a training program, and they keep an eye on you. In Uganda, coach is going to see you at nationals and be like, you play so well. You should come play for my team when you finish. Which class are you? Senior 2. Okay. Then all the way to senior 6, you'll never see him. You'll even forget his name. You'll see him again if you get a chance to play. So what are you doing to monitor that child that is continuing? Boys are always looking for things, you know, playing the 3-on-3 street basketball, looking for the coach. But girls have a way they are set back, and they need to be late. They should know. They should let them know that if you actually show up and just let us know that we're going to do this. So they need to create a platform for them to know that they are welcome. And that starts with the top. there is no I'm going to show up if I'm not seeing a female national team that is moving.
Yeah.
If I'm not seeing a national team select that is on the side training and playing for a chance, because I have seen the same people in the national team for as long as I can remember. And I also know a lot of people that deserve or can be on that team, but are not being noticed or appreciated or corrected, and I've seen them go wee all the way down. So those are the I could go about this all day, but I guess I'll just stop there for today.
Well, we're pressed for time, but before we get to the end of the show, Esther, Bruni has talked about the I and the we when it comes to the ladies, okay? In like 30 seconds, what can the men do, okay, to promote women's sports, or basketball for that matter?
Yes, so today morning, someone told me, he made research, actually my brother, that these days the NBA actually facilitates the WNBA games to see that they're also somewhere. How about the NBL men starts doing something, not totally like investing in and all that, but it can be with the support system. It can be one very good thing, seeing that creating more opportunities for these ladies, putting up different games like, so as like women can be like seen or showing that these guys also like care. It can start with support, and then with time they can also like recommend whoever facilitates them to like partially have his thoughts somewhere on the women's team, so that like they can all go about like together in solidarity. I think that can work. I don't think it's something big. It can start with support and then financially with time.
I'd actually love to see, a structure like that.
I would give an example. When we're in school, there is a time they were not going to take the girls, and the boys stood and said, if the girls are not going, we are not going. They had to get the money, so that was a good thing that the boys did for the girls. So just
kind
to
of
supplement on
solidarity,
that.
All right, so your final thoughts. Bruni, there's a girl out there watching, she wants to get into basketball, she's really not sure. Or there's a girl out there playing basketball, but she wants to get into modeling, she wants to get into a music career, really not sure what she should do. What would you say to that girl?
I would say, number one, you will never be sure with what you want to do with life. Life is fluid. As soon as you understand that, life is going to be easy for you. So for me, number one, it's God. I have to pray, I have to talk to God, I have to, he's my moral compass. Without him, I wouldn't be here. Number two, family. Make sure that you involve your family in everything that you do. Make sure they're working with you. Have a support system around you in whatever you're going to do. And the one thing I always tell people, go for what you want to do. Live, laugh, love. Take the risk. If you don't do it, what are you going to lose? If you do it, you'll probably get it or not get it. If you don't do it, you're not going to get it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But you have a 50% chance of making the ones that you take. So just go for it, whatever it is. And you can reach out to me on my social media. I have people that I've talked to and maybe helped where I can. And I know we can deep dive into the details of what you want to do.
And finally, Esther, there's a girl out there, she thinks, it's too late for me to start basketball, or it's too late for me to start a singing career, it's too late for me to do A, B, C, D. What would you tell such a girl?
It is never too late to start anything, that is for sure. You can start on anything and everything at any time. It is not yet, like, time is not close. You can do it. Put God first, like Bruni said, put God first. Number two, I have a mentor, she's called Letitia, the one of KCCA. Like, she will call me to ask me, did you train? Like, get that one person that is going to do that for you, and I thank God for her. Get that one person that is going to do that for you. It can be your coach, it can be someone that has played the game. Bruni is here and she's willing to do that for you. Please reach out to her. Basically that is it. And also trusting yourself. It starts with you. If you feel like you can't do it, even when you try it, it's not going to move. But when you feel like you can do it, with God helping you and having a mentor by your side and all that, you can surely make it.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you very much for coming through to the show. I know we could have talked, you know what, someone says we can talk until the cows come home, but we're always pressed for time. But thank you for honoring our invite to come here. Hopefully, we'll have you guys come in next time again, you know, with more of the team. I know there are 2 members that are not here, and hopefully we can get them in next time. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you for encouraging the young girls out there, the basketballers out there, you know, just inspiring people to be something better than they are right now. This has been the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Atengi Manuel, and catch us next time. Maybe we'll have them back. Maybe we'll have a new batch. But we always want to talk basketball in Uganda, internationally, dissect the game, and help this game grow in Uganda. Catch you next time. This is House of Talent Television.
Right? I was also counting my 10 seconds.
10 seconds on TV is like 2.
I had, you know, shots weren't dropping. You know, you just need to have, and you need to have that self-drive, but you also need to have support. So seek for support from your parents. Don't be shy to bring up the idea of, you know, can I go for training today? Or maybe can I get a basketball and be dribbling? Because you need to be able to not make excuses for yourself. That's a thing that a lot of people subconsciously do. They're like, well, I don't have a court at home, so I can't do anything. But you can get a basketball and learn to dribble, you know. Then when you actually are able to access a court, you'll have a starting point, you know. And also to, you know, just if you love something, give it your all. Because I know there was a time when I played basketball, but I didn't love it, so I was just, you know, going with the flow, not really, I didn't have any sense of direction, I didn't have any goal. But when I started setting goals for myself and actively trying to reach them, that's when I actually started seeing results, like with the national team. I set that as a goal, and, you know, it paid off when I got to play, and also the Kenya camp. Because the second I came back from Cairo, you know, I was sleeping one morning, I had slept, I'd come back, it was the second day I'd been back. I hear a knock at my door. It's my dad. Get up, coach is coming in 30 minutes, be ready. You know, you have to be able to do that for yourself, or have someone who's willing to do that for you. And, you know, just look for opportunities to play. I know there's like a lot of people who can't, you know, it's not as simple as just waking up, you know, getting a driver to take you somewhere. But, you know, look around, maybe your area, there's like a place you can go for pickup. Maybe you can borrow someone's ball, you know, just, if you want it enough, you'll be able to put in the work. Yeah.
You see, it's like a ship. You just talked about a ship. A ship without a compass in an ocean or in a lake will go anywhere. It has no sense of direction, no timing of where it's going and when it will get there or whatever. Leadership begins as a personal thing. The reason why we have a society that is getting messed up with so many things happening and we're seeing corruption happening is because leadership is failing from a personal level. You are corrupt as an individual and you pride in it because you're gaining more. You go home, your children are seeing that and thinking that is the way of life. Community and society is saying, this guy is a good guy, he's a rich guy, he's the man of society. And society is now beginning to agree to that being a norm. That's now where the problem starts. So let's just go back to your question. Leadership begins from your personal
compass, your true north. Why are you on earth? What's your purpose? When you walk out of here, how do you impact on people? Or how do you want people to remember you? You know, nowadays people are dying, and all people can say is, you know, we had a good time with that guy, but beyond that, what next? And then you find the same people coming to bury you, then after that they even actually have a drink up after that, and life goes on. You'll never be remembered. But just think about this, and let me just give you a simple example of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a 4-foot lady, very short lady. She was a teacher. You know, people think teachers have no impact. She was a teacher. On her way to school to teach, she was so disturbed by the number of young children who were hungry on the streets, having no sense of direction. One day, she just woke up, went to the principal and said, you know what? Kalas, I'm done. I am going to feed the children of the world. The principal laughed. He said, you small woman, first of all, what money do you have? You think feeding the world is? But when you think of Mother Teresa today, what do you think of? The woman who tried to feed the world. Her mission still exists way beyond her. Going back to the same principle of people. People and purpose. And you see, purpose cannot be from outside or without. You know, you don't tell me that this is your purpose, Otoa. No, it comes from within. And you know, leaders are very crazy people. Yeah? You know, it's the same Museveni who read a newspaper and he got pissed off and went and, you know, on the streets and went and joined the bush. Yeah. They talk about people like Fidel Castro and all these people who... Leaders are people who just get angry with what is happening and make a commitment to make a difference.
Welcome to the CEO Bench. My name is Edio Killer, and of course, coming back from the holiday breaks, how are you guys doing? How is everyone doing? Is your CEO back in office? They're supposed to be back on the 15th of January or around about the end of January, okay? And of course, we took a break with them for the the Christmas holidays and the happy holidays. Everyone welcoming you all the way from the 2021, the year that was very tough, to the new year 2022. My guest returning on the show today for the very first time 2022 is the man who has been around the e-commerce, you know, and of course, you know, computer science and technology and all these things we talk about. He's been in that space for some time. He's a man known to many of you across. He's the representative or the team leader for Flutterwave Inc. in East Africa. Nielsen, yes. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
much. I'd even forgotten to pronounce your name.
You are too busy.
Yes.
Too ambitious.
No. Because I'm trying to look for the name. That's how far and how long it has been. Yes.
I know. Happy to be here.
Happy to see you too.
It's been a long time coming, but
sure.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of requests to bring the young CEO on the show, and we said yes. We will definitely look for him, and I think at the time when the nominations came, we were going for holidays,
right.
And we decided we'll wait for the holiday to end and then bring you on.
Awesome.
Well, we're happy to have you here. How's the family? How's work and everybody else?
Awesome.
Great.
Yes.
We're going to dive into our interview very quickly. The CEO Bench is a program that focuses on young leaders or old leaders or people who are in the position of leadership or climbing into position of leadership. We want to share the nuggets of truth about the journey of self-leadership into that position or into that space.
Right.
And, how has it been? Has it been easy? I mean, people just see sometimes CEOs on the streets and, on television or wherever they have been, and they think that it's easier to get there. Right. But some of them are going by the baptism of fire. And we think that you are not different from them, and there could be some really serious fire going on in your life. And we want to share it out. So we'll start from a lighter note by just getting to know you. So who is Nelson Msango? Are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan? Yes, and how did you end up in this space?
So my name is Neil Msango, Ugandan. Pure Ugandan, 100% Ugandan, you know, born and bred in this country, but with a passion for technology. Of course, the first core value for me is fear of God. You know, I really love God. And everything I do, He has to manifest. And because of God, it's excellence. You know, and that's how, you know, in everything I do, I really try to give it my very best. I believe, you know, that everyone is built with some, you know, something inside of them that they can, you know, refine and bring out to the very best. And so, you know, that was my journey. Fell in love with technology at a young age. Was blessed to have parents, Ugandan parents, who allowed me to explore that journey. Very important, you know. So my mother, you know, allowed me really to explore my passion. And, you know, I just dived in. And when I was diving in on that journey, I realized that, you know, there is no one who has gone. Few guys have gone before us. And so it called out for a trailblazer, someone to go and make a path where there has been no path. And, you know, throughout that entire time, learning of how I can make myself better, because it's important. Every year, you know, when the year is beginning, people make resolutions. And normally it's, you know, it's regarding other people, they are competing. But myself, it's every year, how do I become better? How do I become better? And never ever set out to actually be a leader. But leaders, you know, for me, I like saying that cometh the hour, cometh the man. Right? In a space where you know, no one is taking that step to go ahead. You know, and you're willing to dive into that kind of, you know, self-education. Then, you know, I end up becoming, whenever I'd be in a circle, I'd be, you know, elected and chosen to lead. And when you know, when you're leading people, you have to know. So there's automatically sitting on a hot seat. So just went on that journey of learning beyond technical skills, just learning how to lead people, how to manage people, how to, you know, how to strategize, how to, you know, how to get a vision, how to, you know, look forward beyond just look beyond yourself as a leader. And, you know, throughout that journey, reached where I am today. Quite interesting.
Well, I want to take a moment to welcome you guys to the show. We're live on Twitter, on Facebook, and YouTube. You can go there, share far and wide, and be part of this conversation. I promise you this is going to be a good ride for you. And, of course, if you have a neighbor who is interested in growing in the technology space to, you know, become like Neil Msango, that's a place for you to be right now. Neil?
Yes.
Let's start from that point. You've talked about leadership, and I want to just know from you, what is your understanding of leadership?
Right, it's an interesting question, right? And like I said, I think I made something, subtle hint that, you know, I always believed initially when I was growing up that leaders were born. Now, I believe that people are born with some qualities of leadership, but leaders are actually, you know, they're made. You know, and so leadership for me is being able to take that step, right? To go to a place where people have not been, so that you can go there, learn, come back, and then take people there. So, you know, that means that to be a leader, you must have people who are following you. So you can't lead. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that I've learned recently, you know, over the years, really recently, is that, you know, for you to be a leader, people must be following you. You know, and so leader for me is going to a place and then learning how to get there, and then coming and taking people along that journey to that place. But then the thing is that as you go to that place and take people there, when people are, you must be able to continue to go to another place. So it's developing yourself to learn to see those places, go to those places, and then take people to those places. And then becoming as well. So you must be following someone, and you must have people who are following you as well.
And that's a very interesting perspective right there, Neil. We are looking at today on the show with you. We're definitely going to be looking at the leaders' transformative leadership approach. And of course, we're looking at the leadership abilities, which are often what we look for to determine the level of effectiveness of a leader. What is your level of effectiveness? Is it correlated to your leadership abilities? I mean, if you don't have a certain ability, then you can't lead self. So on that note, are you a leader?
I am. 100%.
Yes. And what kind of a leader do you think you are?
and this is a question that has been going through my mind in the past years, because you get to a level, and I know Eddie because we're personal friends. I know that you've been in that space and we've had these conversations. But throughout life, you get to a level where it stops becoming about you.
Okay.
Right. And at that level is then when many people realize that, and some don't. And the thing is, when you reach that level where it stops becoming about you, the purpose of what you're doing grows beyond self. Right. And that's the point where now innately you're built to be in that place of leadership. Now, the thing which also is clear to me as I tell you what kind of leader I am is, for me, the key thing for me in everything I do in my leadership is the people I lead. And so I like to refer to myself as an empathetic leader.
Okay.
So it's, again, understanding.
Empathetic leader.
Yes. It's understanding the kind of people I am leading, whatever space, seeing how I can bring value to them, and then picking from them what I can learn for myself, and then using those learnings to help them go on that journey to go to the place where we're going.
Well, again, we're talking to Nelson Sango, and of course, our topic of discussion today, we're going to be looking into the leadership, transformative leadership in the e-commerce space in Uganda and across East Africa. He is the lead for Flutterwave Inc. in East Africa, and of course, Flutterwave is an e-commerce platform that allows business to trade and to transact and to transfer payment from one end to the next end. If you're in goods and services or in trade, that's the place to be. And talking of that, Neil, you have defined leadership and you've talked about what leadership is to you and the type of leader you are. What is self-leadership to you? A lot of us out there don't know what self-leadership is. You ask the person, says, I don't know how to lead myself to get myself to this point. What is self-leadership to you? And how can you actually, define it for somebody who doesn't know, given the fact that you have been walking this journey to where we are now?
Right. And I think that's a key question, right? Which many leaders don't ever ask themselves, right? Because sometimes people end up being in places of leadership positions, but actually not leaders.
True.
And for me, what I believe is that to lead others to a place where you want them to be, you must have gone there yourself. And so self-leadership for me becomes then what does it take for you as an individual to get to the place where you want to be, and those things, it's a big part of it is reflection, knowing thyself, right? I think that was in the Art of War. You have to know thyself, right? And so it's to look at yourself from end to end, A to Z, and figuring out who am I, what am I good at, extremely good at, what am I not good at. What do I need to do to make sure that the things I'm good at, I become even better? And the things that I'm not good at, what do I need to do today to make sure that I become better at those things? Who do I need around me? Who do I need to, where do I need to move from in terms of spaces and circles? Who are the people who have the qualities that I want to have? How do I go to connect and interface with those people? And that's a big part of it is being mentored, right? And so it's just knowing exactly where you are, being self-aware really of where you are at any given point in time, and then doing the things. Because it's one thing to know, and I tell you, it's
a thing to do.
Yes, I tell you, I was telling a couple of young people who are a leader, over the weekend that look, it's one thing to know what to do. That's the first step. The biggest thing is then to do what you know how to do.
Wow. That's a big challenge right there, which many of us struggle with. Neil, I want to take you a little bit just back.
Right.